it's not working. The Fed's war on inflation is failing, and that has very serious implications for our future. Earlier this year, the Federal Reserve declared war on inflation, and since that time, we've seen a series of interest rate hikes that has been absolutely breathtaking. We know that this would negatively impact the financial markets, and we have already seen trillions of dollars in asset values wiped out. We also knew that this would negatively impact the housing market, and right now housing prices are plummeting all over the nation. But Fed officials assured us that any short-term pain would be worth it because inflation would be brought under control. Unfortunately, that has not happened. In fact, on Thursday we learned that the core consumer price index, the CPI, has just hit the highest level since 1982. A closely watched measure of U.S. consumer prices rose by more than forecast to a 40-year high in September, pressuring the Federal Reserve to raise interest rates even more aggressively to stamp out persistent inflation. The core consumer price index, which excludes food and energy, increased 6.6% from a year ago, the highest level since 1982, Labor Department data showed Thursday. From a month earlier, the core CPI climbed 0.6% for a second month, and this does not include, we said, food and energy. If you included food and energy increases, you can imagine where the inflation would be. Now, the overall CPI increased 0.4% last month and was up 8.2% from a year earlier. The Fed has been repeatedly hitting inflation with an oversized sledgehammer, and it is not working. Prices just continue to surge higher month after month. In particular, the price of food is rising at a rate that is extremely alarming. Prices at the grocery store continued to soar last month, adding even more pressure to shoppers' wallets. The Food at Home Index, a proxy for grocery store prices, increased 0.7% in September from the month prior and a stunning 13% over last year, according to new government data released Thursday. Fed officials assured us that they had everything under control, but it was just a charade. Thursday's report makes it exceedingly clear that the Fed's plan is failing in a major way. This inflation report today was unmitigated disaster, wrote Christopher Perky, chief economist at FWD Bonds, a financial market research company. It shows whatever Fed officials are doing is just not working. So will the Fed change course? Of course not. Instead, they're going to give us more of the same. According to Fox Business, it's been anticipated that another 75 base points rate hike is on the way in November. The report will also have significant implications for the Federal Reserve, which has embarked on one of the fastest tightening paths in decades. Policymakers have already approved 5 straight rate hikes, including 3 back-to-back 75 base points increases, and have shown no signs of slowing down. Following the hotter-than-expected September inflation report, the central bank is widely expected to approve a 4th straight 75 base point increase when policymakers next meet at the beginning of November. And this is, of course, written by Michael Snyder. He says, as I warned many months ago, these rate hikes are not going to solve the inflation crisis, but they will absolutely kill the housing market. This week, you won't believe it. This week, mortgage rates surged to close to 7%. Average long-term U.S. mortgage rates reached their highest level in more than 20 years this week and are likely to climb even further as the Federal Reserve has all but promised more rate increases in its battle to tamp down persistent inflation. Mortgage buyer Freddie Mac reported Thursday that the average key 30-year rate climbed to 6.92%, from 6.66% last week. Some lenders are now even offering rates above 7%. Last year at this time, the rate was at 3.05%. If the Federal Reserve keeps hiking rates, that will push mortgage rates higher and higher, and that will inevitably push home prices lower and lower. In fact, home prices are already starting to come down all across the United States. A home price slump taking place across popular housing markets in the Sun Belt and other regions could result in some relative bargains for shrewd home buyers, according to market data released Monday. The median home listing price has plunged more than 10% in Austin, Texas since June, according to an analysis conducted by Realtor.com. That marked the steepest decline of any city in the United States over that period. If you are a potential homeowner that has been forced out of the market by rising mortgage rates, you could try to rent a place while you wait for the home prices to fall. But thanks to raging inflation, rents are absolutely skyrocketing in many of our largest cities. The latest numbers were released in Realtors.com's September report and showed that median rent across the country as a whole rose 7.8% last month and remained a whopping 25% higher than pre-pandemic rents. 25% higher, yes. The 10 cities with the highest median rent increases last month were Chicago at 23.9%, Boston with 19.9%, New York City with 18.2%, Providence with 16.7%, Oklahoma City at 13.8%, Miami at 13.2%, Kansas City at 11.2%, San Jose at 10.7%, Cleveland with 9.8%, and Hartford with 9.6%. I still remember the days when I could rent a nice apartment for $300 a month. Sadly, those days are long gone. In fact, one couple in New York recently decided to move out of the city entirely when the rent on their one-bedroom apartment went from $5,000 a month to $7,000 a month. Last May, Charlotte, 31, and her husband packed up their one-bedroom apartment in Christopher Street after learning the rent would likely skyrocket from $5,000 a month to $7,000. The couple loved living in the West Village, but home ownership was out of reach, even with her job in finance and him being in tech. They were both working from home, so they could live anywhere. It was time they decided to leave New York. So you can imagine paying $7,000 a month for a one-bedroom apartment. That's nuts. Unfortunately, our whole system is going crazy at this point. The great economic meltdown that I wanted to warn my readers about for so long has begun, and the months ahead are going to be very painful. Fed officials will do all they can to fix this giant mess that they have created, but it is not going to work. They have lost control, and everyone can see this. This is by Michael Schneider. He says, "My name is Michael, and my brand new book entitled 7-Year Apocalypse is now available on Amazon. In addition to my new book, I have written 5 other books that are available on Amazon, including Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, Get Prepared Now, and Living a Life That Really Matters. When you purchase any of these books, you help to support the work that I'm doing, and one way that you can really help is by sending digital copies as gifts through Amazon to family and friends. Time is short, and I need to help getting these warnings into the hands of as many people as possible. I have published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and The Most Important News, and the articles that I publish on those sites are republished on dozens of other prominent websites all over the globe. I always freely and happily allow others to republish my articles on their own websites, but I also ask that they include this about the author section with each article. The material contained in this article is for general information purposes only, and readers should consult licensed professionals before making any legal, business, financial, or health decisions. I encourage you to follow me on social media on Facebook and Twitter, and any way that you can share these articles with others is a great help. These are such troubled times, and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, so that whoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, I strongly urge you to ask Jesus to be your Lord and Savior today. This is on the Economic Collapse blog by Michael Schneider. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.